Hey guys, welcome back to another Buddyfight video. Jay here. Today I'm going to be doing a Demon Lord deck profile. So first, let me just say it is a little bit budget. It does have some high rarity cards. And before I get into this, I just want to say that really testing out this deck just because it's exactly 50 cards. I had to make it small because I was limited on Dungeon World cards because I gave them to a friend who gave me some of the other cards in the box, which is really nice for him. Anyways, let's get straight into this, and I'm going to be explaining how really having a small deck can really lead to, being consistent, having some awesome combos. Anyways, Demon Lords. For those who don't know, after Level Up Heroes and Adventurers, they now have this new card called Bats the Thunderstorm, which can basically search your deck for a Demon Lord, call it, and until it leaves the field, it becomes size 0. Also, sorry for the lamp on the side. You might see some shadows. Anyways, here's the Dungeon World flag right here, and here's my buddy, Demon Lord's Pet Cat Sheet. I just hate the dot on the Ultra Pro sleeve. Anyways, if you have a total of 7 or more Fairy or Demon Lord in your drop zone, this card, the monsters on your center get critical +2. So basically, you can get a critical for bots. It is only good, in my opinion, late game because I'll show you the cards later that get cards into drop zone that I just have in the deck, and surprisingly, it works well. But this card is just here, because it's a common. I have 3 copies. It can give some crit to your center, and just call for Buddy Call. And also, when he's destroyed, top 2 cards of your deck into your drop zone. So it's a nice buddy to have. So I've got him right there. Anyways, let's start off with the size 3 Demon Lord. So I'm gonna be taking a while here to explain it, so if you're looking just for a deck list, I'll probably put it in description below or something. But anyways, basically I'm here just to explain my deck and go over it. First off, because this is budget, I only have 2, here's it, the star of the deck, Great Demon Lord of Thunderstorm Bots. Honestly, you don't need that many copies of him. 2 honestly works, just because I have this card right here that can search for a Demon Lord, which I'll get to in a second. But basically, having 2 enough of him, because the deck is so small, it's only 50 cards, it actually works out and is consistent enough. So, you've got him right here. He's pretty self-explanatory. You guys can pause the video, have a look at his effect. But basically, as I said, during your turn, he can't be destroyed, which is nice. 2 gauge. Lifelink 2, which isn't that bad. But he's also got that double tech. Decent stats, but you can't take that lifelink, which can be annoying if he's returned to hand. But basically, you can get that size C Demon Lord from your deck. Call it by paying its call cost, becomes a size 0. So, it's a really nice card. 2 of them, and of course, the artwork looks awesome. And it's bots, so yeah. So, 2 copies of Great Demon Lord Thunderstorm Bots. Now, we got 3 copies of Traveling Magician Duo Tetsuya and Asmodai. So, we've got 3 copies right here. Basically, the point of this card is for you to be able to call it, and when it's destroyed, you can call bots. Now, keep in mind, replacing him and sending him to the drop zone does not count as him being destroyed, okay? Let me just get that out of the way. But 10,000 power is really nice. 3 crit, 7k defense, not bad. Lifelink 3, there is the item that I only have 1 copy of. But honestly, the Lifelink 3 isn't that bad as long as you can survive the turn and bring out bots and just have a huge counterattack your next turn. You're pretty much good. But basically, as you see right there, call cost 1 gauge when he's destroyed. Call up to 1 Demon Lord, 70 pillars, monster in your deck, paying its call cost. You can also get your Demon Lords for whatever situation you need. Doesn't have to be bots as well, and I'll get to the other Demon Lords when we do get to it. So, 3 copies are there. Works incredibly well in a budget deck. So, 3 copies right there of Traveling Mage, Duo, Tetsuya, and Asmodai. So, moving on, we've got the other stars of the deck. So, let's start off with Drum real quick. So, I've got a really nice foil version and his regular rare version. So, we've got Vortex Demon Lord Drum right here. 3 crit, which is really nice. 6k power, 5k defense. Size 3. Basically, like the, what I want to call it? Like the point of this is basically to have bots on your left, Drum on your right, and then you've got, Gauss 3 buddies as Demon Lords on your field. Basically. So, anyways, going back, we've got Drum right here. His ability, he gets 1 gauge top card of your deck, lifelink 2, and Soul Guard. So, the Soul Guard definitely is nice. Beginning up your attack phase, destroy all monsters on your opponent's left or right. So, that is definitely helpful. Destroying bots, especially when going up against aggro decks that leave their center open. You're basically clearing their field. And, of course, that 3 crit penetrate is also really nice. So, foil version, 2 copies of him right there for whatever situation you need. So, 2 copies of Vortex Demon Lord Drum right there. Then I've got 2 copies of Demon Lord of the Sun, Battle Dragon. It's a really nice card. Let me just quickly show it up here. 10,000 power is really nice. 3k defense leave it vulnerable to counter spells and stuff like that. But usually you should be okay. Again, when it's called, it's a size 0 by bots' effect. If you do that. It has a critical 2, and its ability is when this card... with this card's attack cannot be nullified if it's attacking alone. Call cost 1 gauge. The cards on your left, monster center get critical +1 with penetrate. So, basically the combo is this card's on your left, bots is on your center, drum's on your right, start of attack phase, drum destroys monster opponent's left and right, and then you've got bots with 3 crit now due to Battle's effect, attack for 3, that is 6 damage. Then Drum will attack for 3, and Ball attacks for 2 that can't be nullified. So you get some nice combos. Again, his ability is only once per turn, but you can stack it up, and I've also got some size zeros to help out in case you need it. So 2 copies of Demon Lord of the Sun Battle Dragon, and 2 copies of Vortex Demon Lord Drum. So again, apologize for the shadow, but there's not really much I can do. Anyways, here's a triple rare right here, just because I decided to throw it in. Obviously, I feel like this card is a lot better for Neozai, but it does work in this deck just because it can get you gauge as well. Put a card from your drop zone, this card's soul, pay 2 gauge. 7,000 power, 5,000 defense, critical 2, size 3. Put a card from your drop zone into this card's soul and pay 2 gauge. When this card attacks, if it has 2 or more soul for this turn, this card gets penetrating double attack. Beginning of your attack base, put a 1 card from your drop zone into this card's soul or your gauge with soul guard. So basically, you can call him with bots, get that penetrate and double attack, or you can get a card from drop zone into your gauge. So it's a free gauge if you want to set up for next turn, or maybe you need some gauge for your item, your set spells, or whatever. I actually don't have any set spells in this because I did not pull any of them. But still, it's a nice card. Preferably would want to use it in Neos Y, but it's still nice to have in the deck that penetrating double attack. This card is also great. Wish I had more copies of him. I swear I had a second, but I could not find it. So, size 3 right here, 8,000 power, 6,000 defense, critical 2. Hazard, Dragon Emperor, Gazolo Gamer. I think, did I forget to say Jack's name? Anyways, ready yourself, Brave One, erasing you, the world will be mine. 2 gauge, top card deck, into this card's soul. Act, you may discard a card from hand. If you do, destroy all monster opponents left and right, basically just like Drum's ability. And if you do, for this turn, this card gets critical +1. You only use this ability once per turn with double attack and soul guard. So basically, you can call him using bots as effects. Discard a card from hand. Now you have a 3 crit double attacker, and you just destroyed your opponent's monsters on the left or right. So it's a great card. Definitely would recommend it, especially for budget decks, and just really in Demon Lord decks, just because you get that 3 crit double attack. The lifelink 2 does kind of suck, but a lot of the Demon Lords have lifelink because they're supposed to be really strong. I feel like they're wanting to be chaos, but what can you do? So you got a 3 crit double attacker. It's a nice card. You can destroy cards in your opponent's field, left or right. So there you go. 1 copy of Yamigeto, because why not? We need Demon Lords in the deck. I want to make sure that I have a Demon Lord in my starting hand 100%. 7k power, 7,000 defense, critical 2, size 3, 100 demons. It's actually Dungeon World. Just so you're not doubting me, Dungeon World right there. Anyways, put one or more monster from field in this card's soul and pay 2 gauge. That's the one problem I have with this card. You already need to have a monster on your field in order to call it, so that's a big problem. But Thunder Mine, when a size 3 or less monster enters your opponent's field, deal damage to your opponent equal to that monster's size. This ability only activates once per turn. So, your opponent calls a size 3, burn 3 damage. Call a size 2, burn 2 damage. If it is a size 0, I'm not too sure when you get to, I believe it is like, for example, it's the first monster your opponent's call, but I think you get to choose when you do activate the Thunder Mine. I'm pretty sure. You might want to double check on that. But basically, your opponent tries to call size 3, they'll get shocked for 3 damage, unless it's a Thora. But yeah, it's a nice double attacker soul guard, and the Thunder Mine can make quite a difference in battle. So, 1 copy of Demon Lord of the 100 Demons, Yamigeto. Now, we're almost done with size 3s. Okay, 2 more to go. We've got Demon Lord Gagnar, second form, Iron Hand. Now, there is this first version, but I don't have him because he's from the older set. Size 3 monster, 4 critical, so that's really nice for damage. 7k defense, 12,000 power. Put this card on top of Demon Lord monster in your field and pay 3 gauge. So that's another problem with this card. You already need to have a Demon Lord on your field. At Demon Lord's palm, play rock, paper, scissors with your opponent. If you win for this turn, this card gets double attack. You only use Demon Lord's palm once a turn with penetrate and soul guard. So you can get 4 crit double attacker onto your field. Again, he's 3 gauge to call, which is pretty heavy. And also, you also have to win rock, paper, scissors if you want that double. But still a nice card to have late game, especially that 4 crit. When you use this with the stand item, which we'll get to later, you can definitely get out some heavy damage. So 2 copies of him. I didn't want to have too many because, again, his call cost and stuff like that. Anyways, last Demon Lord in the deck. Might take this guy down to 3, but I've got Bird, Demon Lord, Blade, Winged Phoenix. Basically, it's great for destroying monsters in your opponent's field. 10,000 power, 1,000 defense only, though. 2 critical, size 3. 2 gauge top card deck into soul. When this card attacks, choose a monster in your opponent's field, and you put a dungeon enemy from your drop zone at the bottom of your deck. If you do, destroy the chosen card with double attack and soul guard. So, because it attacks twice, you can use this ability twice and basically just absolutely demolish your opponent's field while dealing damage, or just doing both at the same time, especially if you're going up against something like wall decks, like Evil Deity Dragon. Especially that 10,000 power is really nice. So, definitely works out with monster destruction and having that really high power. So, there it is. 2 Blade Wings right there, just in case you need to clear anything annoying on your opponent's field. Now, let's get on to the size 2s. The one size 2 that I have, Ikazuchi, I don't know why he's in here. He's just nice for, you know, just having another attacker. So 1 gauge top card deck into his soul, 5k power, 2 critical, 1000 defense. If you have Richard size 3 monster in your field, the size of this card is reduced by 2, so he basically becomes a size 0. When a size 3 monster in your field attacks, deal 1 damage to your opponent, only have to waste up to turn with Soul Guard. So you have a Soul Guard size 0, which is really nice with that 2 crit, and you can also burn 1 damage to your opponent when a size 3 in your field attacks. So, especially that burn damage is sometimes useful, especially that 5k power when you need to take stuff out. So 1 copy of Revenger Ikazuchi right there. I've also got 4 copies from the Golden Buddy Champion Trial deck, or I'm just going to call it the Golden Buddy Champion deck. A retainer of the Demonic Dragon Gyudo. Now this card right here, 2000 power, 1000 defense, critical of 2. You would think I wouldn't have any size ones in the decks, but I had to fill up cards, and this card actually works. One card to put into your drop zone from your field or hand, put the top 2 cards of the deck into your drop zone, and put top card deck into gauge. So you're basically milling cards so you can activate Catch Sheet's effect and get critical +2 onto your center, but you're also getting that free gauge as well, because it counts when he's put from the field into the drop zone. What you can do, call him to the center. Then let's say you want to call bots. You call bots, replace him, and because his effect when he's sent into the drop zone from the field, he's now put into the drop zone, his effect will activate, you'll mill 2, and free gauge. So it's a really nice card just there, and he's also Demon Lord, so he'll count for Kashi's effect and stuff like that. So he's honestly just there for gauge and also for milling for Kashi, so 4 of him right there. It actually works, surprisingly. 1 card, 5th Omni Dragon Lord Tambu ST, because in the meta, you're going to be seeing a lot of Soul Guards, so I don't know why I just popped him in. He's a size 1, so you can't really call him a size 0, but he's just there. 3000 power, 2000 defense, critical of 1. It's kind of field, either destroy size 1 or less monster you put his field, or put a soul from opponent's field into his drop zone. That includes your opponent's items, their spells, so it's just really there in case you need it for emergencies, or maybe your opponent like set it up, like let's say Satsumaki fleets, sorry, not fleets, battleship. And then, now it's your turn, you're going to call this card, get rid of Soul, maybe replace him, call Demon Godel, then replace Demon Godel, get that gauge and mill, call bots, set up your combo, and just go straight in. So, again, this card can be useful in some situations, I just threw it in there. Honestly, if you don't really want in your hand, you can charge it, replace it with anything else, maybe some more size 0s, really up to you, but he's just there for that, getting rid of Soul, which is annoying. Kanata, usually, you'll see some weird adventures in here, I'll explain it really quickly. Honestly, Kanata's just here for that burn damage and gain 1. Normally, of course, you would have him in Prison Dragons or Adventurers, but he's just there to burn 1, gain 1 life. Basically, his ability, if you have a size 3 greater monster in your center, size of this card in your field is reduced by 1. Obviously, you call bots to the center. I mean, you can call him to the right or left if you really want, but usually I like calling him to the center. Dazzling Kicks, when a card in your field link attacks, you gain a life and do 1 damage. So, it basically puts 2 life gap with that 2 crit, which is nice. So, size 0 support right there. Anyways, moving on to size 0s. 3 copies of my buddy, Demon Lord's pet, Kashith. I already explained him, so 3 copies of him. Then this card, wow. I don't know why. I just think this card is absolutely incredible. Here he is. 2 copies of Suspicious Craftsman Guard, because those are the only 2 copies I have. He's a size 0 monster. Only 2000 power, 2000 defense, critical of 1. But his ability is amazing. So choose a monster in your field other than this card, and pay 1 life. If you do choose and use one of the following 2, you may only use his ability once a turn. So you can either give the chosen card 3000 power and penetrate. So, for example, you can bring out bots, use his ability, get out battle. So now, bots has 3 crit double attack. And now you call Gaara, use his ability, pay 1 life. Now bots has 3 crit penetrate and 10,000 power. So just combining this with any other Demon Lord really helps, because you just get that much aggro. A lot more aggro out. And you can also give critical +1 as well. Also, it does not pay gauge. I think this is a text error, or for some reason, when it was released before, I thought it was gauge for whatever the reason. But the fact that you're only paying life and not gauge makes Gaara just an incredible card. Especially the fact that you can get crit +1. Combine this with other cards that have double attack. Like Gagnjar, you can get a 5 crit double attack. Like, there's just some really crazy combos you can make, and I absolutely love Gaara. Especially you can get penetrate or double attack. Sorry, penetrate critical +1 just gives a lot more aggro to the deck, especially in budget. So, 2 copies of Gaara. He's also a common, so that really helps as well. 1 copy of Shiny Mobile Uniform Warrior Jewelry Frill, because it's a foil. Honestly, I don't know why this card is in the deck. During an attack phase, when this card leaves the field, top card of your deck in your gauge, gain a life. I'll probably replace this with size 0 or something else, or maybe, I don't know, sideboard or something. But anyways, 2,000 power, 1,000 defense, critical of 1, size 0. It's basically a debuffer on your opponent's field, so monsters in your opponent's center get minus 2,000 defense and power, so basically debuffing your opponent's field to give you basically more of an advantage. And if it leaves the field during attack phase, free gauge and life, so why not just have it in? Again, you probably replace this with something else, or maybe an item if I had more Dungeon World items, but it works, and it's just there, so yeah. Anyways, moving on, we've got Apprentice Sister Hanako. Oh yeah, also with Jewelry Fill, for example, if your opponent's trying to protect themselves besides duties in the center, it lowers their attack. Anyways, you've got Apprentice Sister Hanako. Honestly, this card is here just for the gauge and life. Pretty simple. You have a look, read Hanako's ability. When another monster in your field enters your field, when another monster other than this card enters the field, free gauge and life. So very simple. Dots aren't the greatest, but you know, gauge is tight in this deck and you definitely need it. Anyways, geez, this is long. Moving on to the items. One, Growl's Wand, because that's the only copy I have. Definitely would try and get as many of these as you can. I'd probably run 2 or 3 if I had more, but it's still a great card and you don't want too many items. I feel like the amount of items that I have definitely work. 1 life to equip, reduce the damage dealt by lifelink of Demon Lord by 1. So that helps with Osmodite bots. Just, it really stacks up, especially when you have a lot of Demon Lords on your field. You can definitely take a lot less damage from that lifelink. Rest of this card, if you do, gauge 1, so it's free gauge. And you're really not going to be using the stats, because usually you have a Demon Lord in your center, so you like call bots, equip this card, rest, and that free gauge. So that's normally what you're doing. But yeah, great card, 1 copy. I preferably run more if I had them, but that's all I got for now. This card is absolutely incredible. It came out in Climax Triple G. Here it is, 4,000 power, 2 critical, 1 gauge to equip. I didn't even read the name. Magical Beast Tamer Flute G-Boy. Counteract, you may pay 1 gauge, rest this card. If you do stand a dungeon enemy on your field, it's also not once per turn. So, jeez. Again, obviously, you're only going to be able to use this once because, you know, it's counteract. But basically, because it's not once per turn. For example, you call bots, your opponent rests it, equip this card, 1 gauge, rest this card, stand bots, and maybe replace it, and you can use it again. But normally, you would use this during the attack phase. So, for example, you have bots right here, your flute, you call bow. Now you've got 3 crit double attack, so attack for 3 damage, attack for 3 damage, your opponent's not down to 6. Use this card, 1 gauge, rest, stand bots, attack for another 3. Now your opponents, let's say if they didn't gain any life, they're now down to 9. Bow now attacks for 2 damage, can't be nullified, and that is game right there. So, Flute is definitely a great card. If they try resting your monster, you just need an extra attack. Flute does the job. Preferably maybe 1 more. Honestly, 3 works in the deck, but it's definitely a great card for Demon Lords and for dungeon enemies as well. Because, in case you think I'm lying, if you look right there, Bots is in fact a dungeon enemy right there. It's really small. And same for most of the Demon Lords. For example, Osmoda right here does not have it, but a lot of them do. For example, Drum also has dungeon enemy as well. It's really small, the text, but most Demon Lords do in the deck, so it's a great card, especially for bots, because he's usually your star monster on your center, so 3 copies of that, so that's only 4 items in total, but it actually works. Okay, don't know why it stopped recording, but anyways, on to spells. Bonus quest right here, so great card, probably the best Dungeon World card. Really wish Hero World got something similar, but anyways, you discard those 2 or greater from your hand, gauge 2, gain a life, draw 2 cards. Just an overall incredible card. You're getting rid of a card from hand, free gauge, the life, just the 1 life is just icing on the cake, and that free 2 draw is just incredible. So, bonus quest, great card. Wish I had more, but, you know, it's a budget deck, and I don't really want to invest more money, and honestly, the deck works perfectly fine. 4 copies of Reset Button. This is a must, especially because Demon Lords are gauge heavy. You need to call bots, you need to equip your items, you need to call, pay the call cost for your Demon Lords when you're calling them through bots. This card is absolutely incredible. Anyways, 4 copies right here. Let's have a look at it. If there's 1 or more cards in your gauge, put all of your gauge into your deck. If you do, shuffle your deck and put put the top 4 cards of your deck into your gauge. So it's kind of like Hyper Energy in a way. Let me just show an example real quick right here. So let's say you got 2 gauge. Actually, yeah. Let's say so you charge and draw, or whatever. It's your first turn, second turn. You have 3 gauge. You pay 2 gauge. You call bots. Then you could now cast Reset Button. You take your 1 gauge because it's only 1 or more cards in your gauge, so 1 is the least. Put that into your deck. and you basically got 3 more gauge now. You can equip your item, use its effects, pay for your call cost for your Demon Lord. So definitely a great card. Either it's budget or either you're playing like a full Demon Lord deck. Reset button is just absolutely incredible. So 4 copies of reset button just because it is an incredible card. It's kind of like hyper energy basically for Dungeon World. Anyways, Magical Eyes Release, but again with reset button real quick, you definitely want more. Magical Eyes Release, more gauge and gauge control. It's a great card. Only got 3 copies, but still, let's have a look. Very simple card. You only cast a card if you have Demon Lord on your field. Gauge 2 and put a card from your opponent's gauge into your drop zone, and it's not once per turn. So, let's say in some crazy situation, you get 2 or 3, cast all of them, that's 6 gauge, and your opponent loses 3 gauge. Like, gauge control is absolutely invaluable, and the fact that you're also gaining gauge as well is just icing on the cake. So, you gain 2 gauge, your opponent loses gauge. Very simple, great card, especially because you need to pay for your call. Most of the Demon Lord call costs are 2 gauge or less, but great card. You got 3 copies right there. And then, finally, the spells. Okay, so basically, I don't have too many Dungeon World spells. I basically had to trade with a friend, and this is literally all the defense spells I have in this deck. If I could, maybe I'll buy some more in the future. There's also that Guardian spell, which you pay a life, nullify the attack, and you have 5 less cards in your drop zone, you gauge 1. Would definitely rather have this in the deck, but I need some kind of defense cards, and this is all that I could get. So, 4 Quiescence of Cascade, sorry if I said that wrong, spell card right here. You only cast a card, you don't have a monster in your center, so it's mostly for after your Demon Lord is destroyed, or if you really just need to avoid damage. It's just absolutely, just panic, you're getting destroyed, you're getting attacked multiple times by bots, you just need to reduce that damage. Counter for this turn, next time you add your delta, it's reduced by 3, so honestly, it's just there. Usually you wouldn't use this because you have bots in your center, but because I don't have nullifiers, I don't have much defense in this deck except for your monster in your center with Demon Lords, this card just has to be there. I've only got 4, basically, defensive cards. Here's the other one from the new set, reprint, Divine Protection Shelsana. Fairly simple card. You only cast this card during attack opponent's turn. 1 gauge nullify attack, you gain a life. Again, the fact that it's gauge and not life does make it a bit heavy, but the fact that you can have a nullify in your deck that's a common in the set is really nice. So, in total, you've only got 8 defensive cards, but that, guys, jeez, I've just been talking non-stop, is basically it. Surprisingly, the deck works well. If you do want to see a buddy fight with this, maybe I can try and get one. But surprisingly, having only 2 boxes and the cards that I have, the deck works well. Just squishing in those little cards, getting that gauge, you can easily get up enough, like 10 critical damage or more, and especially if you can set up a really great combo. It's just a really nice and fun deck to play. It's basically a nice break from, you know, all the meta and everything else out there. It is an aggro deck, but you can come up with some pretty awesome combos, and in my opinion, it's just a fun deck to play. So, the fact that I have enough cards to make a decent deck, just without having to put too much money in, is really good enough to me, and I think this deck is still pretty incredible either way. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you do have any feedback, or if you do want to see a card list or anybody fight with this Demon Lord deck, definitely tell me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this is a really long video. I wanted to take the time to basically explain every card and how it works in the deck, so hopefully you guys enjoy. If you do want to see shorter deck profiles, definitely tell me, but I like to take the time and explain all the cards and their effects to help buddy fighters out there. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys later in the next buddy fight video.